You're listening to a New York Jets episode of the Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the team's latest goings-on as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, Jets fans! Welcome to another New York Jets episode of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, and you're not. To give a very brief summary of this game, it was a worse version of the Panthers game. The Panthers game, the Jets played like garbage in the first half. They came back in the second half, and you were actually excited. This game, garbage first half, play well in the second half. At the end of the day, it's a close loss, a one-score loss, but you leave that game just really disappointed in how the Jets played. I mean, I'm not satisfied about how the offense played. I'm not satisfied with Mike LaFleur. I'm not satisfied with Zach Wilson. I'm not satisfied with the running game. I'm not satisfied with Corey Davis. And on the defensive side of the ball, that's the worst game they've played all year. Like, not for nothing, but if the Jets defense had played like they played against the Titans or the Patriots or the Panthers, the Jets probably win this game. The Jets had no sacks. They really didn't get much of a pass rush going. The secondary was burned constantly. Kyle Pitts had his coming out party, which everyone thought he would have. And I love Kyle Pitts. He's on my fantasy team. I think he's going to be a great player in this league for a really long time. But it's still disappointing to see him have 9 catches for 119 yards and a touchdown. As a Jets fan, I can get upset about that. As a Jets fan, I can get upset about Cordero Patterson having over 130 all-purpose yards. As a Jets fan, I can be upset about Mike Davis averaging over 4 yards a run. As a Jets fan, I can get upset about Tajay Sharp actually looking solid. 4 catches for 53 yards? Not terrible. For a guy like Sharp, who was probably the Falcons' number 1 true wide receiver, you can't get upset at that performance. I mean, this is the most points that the Jets have given up all year in a game. They've given up at least 19 points in every single game this year. We talk about how good the Jets' defense has been. And yeah, by the eye test, they look good, but not for nothing. Would it kill them to hold a team to under 20 points? Can they do that against another team besides the Panthers? can they not allow Matt Ryan, who really hasn't looked great this year, to complete 33 of his 45 passes for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns? Matt Ryan hasn't looked great this year. Those 342 yards are the most yards that Ryan's thrown for in a game this year. This was a really disappointing performance by the Jets defense. You had to feel good about the Jets' chances headed into this game. Everyone on the NFL Network picked the Jets. I picked the Jets. The Falcons win by a touchdown? I mean, come on. The Jets' defense looked night and day different from the defense that we saw last week. I understand that they may be suffering from a little bit of jet lag. It's hard to play in London. I totally get that, but I just saw the Falcons defense have a pretty darn good game. So that excuse really doesn't hold water to me. Like, here's the thing. If you want to boil it down to the ground, the reason that the Jets lost was because for the 5th straight game, every game this year, they got off to an incredibly slow start. The Falcons outscored the Jets 20-3 in the first half. Zach Wilson looked dreadful. I think Cordero Patterson by himself had more yards than the Jets offense did in the first half. Or maybe more yards than Zach Wilson had passing yards in the first half, something like that. But it's another game where you're down early. What do you hear every coach in the NFL say? It's a lot easier to play with a lead than it is to play from behind. Every game this year, the Jets have been behind. They're the worst first half team in the NFL. By the time you come storming back in the second half, which is what the Jets did today, alright, in all fairness, they outscored the Falcons 17-7 in the second half. They look like a much better team. But would it kill this team to get off to a fast start? Think about the Titans game. They were only trailing by 2 points at the half. 9-7. Going into halftime, you really felt like the Jets had a chance to win that game. Going into the half today, you didn't think there was any chance the Jets would win this game. I wouldn't begrudge you if you told me that you went back to sleep afterwards. I mean, I get up at 9:30 for that performance. Why couldn't I sleep in a little bit? I'll get up for the second half. Let me just watch that. The thing that really scared me about this game wasn't as much Mike LaFleur, although he does deserve some of the blame because it's, again, the 5th straight game that the Jets have gotten nothing going in the first half. The offensive coordinator needs to change that. But Zach Wilson looked absolutely lost out there. The screen that hit off Morgan Moses' helmet, passes in the flat that weren't completed, easy throws that any NFL quarterback should be able to make. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes or Josh Johnson. Every quarterback getting a paycheck from an NFL team should be expected to make those throws, and they fell incomplete. What did Salas say? It's okay to be boring. It's okay to take checkdowns if they're not there. Look, checkdowns are important. A few yards here, a few yards there. Then next thing you know, you've got some momentum going. The defense is paying attention to the short to intermediate part of the field. And that's when you take your shot downfield. This was a big step backwards for Wilson. After his best game in the NFL against the Titans, to follow it up with that dud, where he throws for less than 200 yards, doesn't throw a touchdown, and gets picked, which granted was just a really, really good play by Jalen Hawkins. I can't get on Wilson too much for that. I understand what he saw. It wasn't the best throw in the world, but I've seen worse interceptions. I know what he saw. He just needs to execute that a little better. And again, it was a really good play by Hawkins, so I can't get too upset about that. But still, no touchdowns to an interception, that's really bad. Less than 200 yards, that's really bad. This was a really important game for the Jets. You've got the entire NFL world watching. This game was internationally televised. If you win this game, you're 2-3. After starting the year 0-3, you head into your bye week with a lot of momentum. And people would start saying, you know what? This team went 0-13 last year. They didn't get their second win until the penultimate week of the NFL season last year. Now they're 2-3 after 5 weeks. You know what? The ship is pointed in the right direction. Jets fans have a lot to be optimistic about. But it's hard to be optimistic about another game where you do nothing in the first half and you try to gung-ho it in the second half. It doesn't work like that. You've got to play a complete game if you want to win in this league. You've got to play 60 minutes of good football, not 30. I'll tell you another thing that scared me. The touchdown drive in the third quarter that started the second half, that was culminated with the Ty Johnson touchdown, Zach Wilson really had nothing to do with that. It was the running backs. You've got Tevin Coleman with the big kick return. Michael Carter starts the drive with 15 rushing yards. Yeah, Wilson got Braxton Berrios involved. Okay. But then it was 3 straight runs by Ty Johnson. For that really important drive to be accomplished basically without Zach Wilson, that's a little scary. I mean, not for nothing, but the following 2 drives, the Jets went 4 and out and then 3 and out. The fourth quarter touchdown drive, Wilson came alive. I mean, saying this about the Jets, they fight until the very end. Realistically, if they recover the onside kick, which I know is easier said than done, but if they had recovered the onside kick, you had to feel good about their chances. Zach Wilson threw for 192 yards in this game. You know how many passing yards he had in the fourth quarter? 127. So the vast majority of Wilson's passing yards came in the fourth quarter. At the end of the day, you've got to give Robert Saleh a ton of credit for keeping this team motivated and keeping this team in it until the very end. Much like the Panthers game, they were in it until the last play of the game. It's clear that the Jets have the right coach. I really like Robert Saleh. I mean, yeah, the defense didn't play well today. You've got defensive ends guarding Kyle Pitts. Come on. A 3-year-old could tell you that wouldn't work. I understand you're trying to disguise pressure. You don't want Ryan to know who's blitzing and who isn't. You want to make life a little difficult for the Falcons' offensive line, which, give them credit, they played really well. But if that plan involves having defensive ends cover Kyle Pitts, one of the biggest mismatches in the NFL, change the plan. Do the Jets have anyone who can cover Kyle Pitts? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, a defensive end definitely can't. And not for nothing, but after you hit the 2-point conversion, you're only down 3. There's a little under 7 minutes left in the game. You've got plenty of time. You really needed the defense to come up with a big stop. And on the first play of that drive, Kyle Pitts catches a 39-yard pass. Backbreaker. After that, you had 3rd and 13. Even though you'd be pinned deep in your own zone, you still had time, a little under 5 minutes. You had all your timeouts. There was time to mount a drive. The Jets gave up a 15-yard pass to Olamide Zaccheaus. Then the Falcons punched it in for a touchdown, and you just knew right then and there that the Falcons were going to pull this one out. This wouldn't be another 28-3. The Falcons were going to hold on to win this game. Now they're the team that's 2-3. Their 2 wins have come against bad New York football teams, the Jets and the Giants. And the Jets are 1-4. They've got their bye week coming up next week. They really need to sort some things out. Firstly, how to be a better first half team. You can't rely on just halftime adjustments. You can't rely on just gung-hoing it at the end and trying to make that work. No, get out to an early lead and keep it. Every other team in the NFL has done it. I don't want to say it's not hard, because it's hard to do just about everything in the NFL, but is it really too much to ask for the Jets to have a lead in the first quarter or the first half? I don't think it is. That needs to get sorted out. And this Denzel Mims situation needs to get sorted out. Denzel Mims is a player. Put him and Davis on the outside, put Moore in the slot. Maybe get Jamison Crowder involved a little bit. Maybe get Keelan Cole involved a little bit. But the crux of your passing game has to be getting Davis, Mims, and Moore involved. Those are your 3 best pass catchers. You paid Corey Davis a ton of money. He's got to be the number 1 wide receiver. He hasn't been great this year. Hasn't been terrible, but hasn't been great. He's been limited somewhat by Zach Wilson. So, I'll give him a little bit of a pass. Denzel Mims has been poorly used by this coaching staff, and Elijah Moore didn't get a single catch today. You've got to get those 3 guys involved. Don't discard Crowder. Don't discard Cole. But primarily, the Jets' offense has to revolve around Zach Wilson getting the ball to Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, and Elijah Moore. It's just that simple. And I'll say this, even though Zach Wilson did not have a good game, I still like him. He has all the tools, has crazy arm talent. I'm not giving up on him, but for my own sanity, I'd like him to start putting it together sooner rather than later. String good games together. Because realistically, you only had 1 good half against the Panthers. You played like garbage against the Patriots. You played like garbage against the Broncos. You were really, really good against the Titans. And you only had 1 good half against the Falcons. String those really good games together. That's what franchise quarterbacks do. Like I said, the Jets bye week is next week, so obviously you won't get a Jets show next week. You will get one 2 weeks from now, as the Jets will play the Patriots in Foxborough. I'll give you an instant recap right after that game. Regular episodes of the Jacob Valk Show come your way every weekday afternoon. On Tuesday, you're going to get an interview that I'm going to do with David Sumner, the author of a book on Amos Alonzo Stagg. Tuesday night, you'll get my NHL season preview. On Thursday's regular episode of the Jacob Valk Show, you're going to get an interview that I'm going to do with John Imarino, the author of a book on the 1962 World Series. That night, you'll get my New York Islanders preview. Not this coming Monday, but the Monday after, you'll get my NBA season preview. That'll be posted after that day's regular episode of the Jacob Valk Show. And the night after that, you'll get my Brooklyn Nets season preview. There's a lot of good stuff coming your way. You're definitely going to want to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Jacob Valk, and always remember, if you disagree with me, you're wrong.